We have minutes that were prepared, commissioners, that were submitted prior to the meeting. You have them before you. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to look them over. And that being the case, I'd ask what's your pleasure? I'd entertain a motion to adopt these minutes subject to any corrections.
Was that a motion?
No, I said I'd entertain a motion like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
I move that we approve the minutes from our previous meeting, subject to the necessary changes.
I
Is there a
second.
second?
Commissioner Washington seconded.
It's been properly moved and seconded that the minutes be accepted, subject to any corrections. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, let the record reflect the vote was unanimous on the minutes for the meeting of February 24th. Next item on the agenda is the website update. Who's on deck?
I can give you an update, Chairman.
Mhm.
We've signed an agreement with EVETH Studios, that's spelled EVETH Studios, who are based in Ward 5. We selected them after submitting requests to several different companies. They are the ones that gave us a written proposal and worked with us through the process. And the contract was signed off by and reviewed by Chairman Edwards, Commissioner Washington, and myself. That has been signed off and sent to them, and we just submitted payment to them. So we are currently in the process of transferring over access to the current website and domain to them. And in the meantime, I just wanted to let everybody know that all of the information, I just want to pull this up on the screen real quick. If I can find it. All of the information, here it is available about the ANC 5A is on the Advisory Neighborhood Commission from DC. And all of our information is on there. And if you look at this link right here, that will get you to our meeting website, our meeting link, and every month and show you how to get on the meeting link. So if anybody has any questions about how to get on the meeting or needs the link and can't get it through the website or the email, you can get it through the ANC, the Office of ANC website for 5A. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that while we are in the process of changing our website.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Lucio. And I want to thank everybody that sort of worked with that group to sort of identify a web developer and to sort of work through the contract and to come up with something that would be acceptable. So I want to thank you all, Commissioner Washington, Commissioner Lucio, and I believe Commissioner Fletcher was involved in that. So thank you all for your work on that. And we look forward to the first display of the website. And when will that be? When will we expect to see the new website up? Hello?
I'm sorry, what was that, Chairman Edwards?
I was when, based on having signed the contract now, when do you anticipate the new website being made public?
You know, that is a good question. I don't know. I'm in the process of coordinating with them the next steps. So as soon as I have that information, I can share that.
All right, thank you. All right, all right. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, we move to item C. And again, I want to take the opportunity before he get a chance to speak to thank our vice chair and his initiative regarding public safety. We had a very successful Public Safety Forum, thanks to the hard work of him and that committee. So I want to turn it over to Vice Chairman Fletcher to give us an update on the Safety Task Force meeting.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to all the commissioners and community members that were able to be a part of the Public Safety Forum last week. As our chair stated, it was very informative. It was a productive meeting. The idea was that we were going to maybe end before 8:30, but we ended right at 8:30 because the conversations and the discussions just took us to the end of the meeting. What I want to do, though, Mr. Chair, because I want to make sure that I present information to the executive body, to the not the executive body, to the ANC commissioners first. I don't want to go and rehash the meeting now. I would like to present at the executive committee at our ANC executive meeting next month, and I will present updates and present some recommended next action items, and then I could present that once we agree. I can present that to the entire community at our April meeting. Another thing I will say is that this is going to be a quarterly conversation because we recognize that crime and public safety is something that needs to be continuously looked at. So we're going to have another public safety forum probably June, which will be right before our summer recess. So the community, please be on the lookout for that. I'm going to make sure that I also incorporate some other agencies that were recommended, such as Office of Behavioral Health, the Office of Attorney General for sure, just to name a few. So those are just some high-level updates. And I took detailed minutes, and I just want to present them to us first, and then bring it to the entire community at our April meeting, Mr. Chair. That's my report at this time.
All right, and again, thank you and the committee for an excellent event last week. We look forward to any further updates from you with regard to that. And also want to express my appreciation to the police department for their support of the event, and especially to our commander for coming out and staying with us through the entire event. So
Yeah,
that was very much appreciated. All right.
agreed.
So the next item on the agenda with that is a nice segue into the police department if they are here. Anyone from MPD here, Madam Secretary?
Yes, Lieutenant Schutt's here, but we did skip one item D. Are you?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so yes, I'm sorry. Commissioners, we have before us two resolutions that were circulated prior to the meeting. And I believe these are coming through 5803. So I will turn the floor over to Commissioner Lucio.
Thank you, Chairman Edwards. Commissioners, you have been sent prior to the meeting two letters. Just a second, I've got to let Mr. Lockett in here. Hold on. Two letters. One was in regard to the use of heavy trucks on Sargent Road and other residential streets. And the other one was support for increased funding and expansion of the Metropolitan Police Department's motor carrier unit. So I wanted to talk about the heavy trucks one first. At several single member district meetings of mine, and one noted on the letter in February 4th, 2021, and also through several meetings with DDOT and a site visit to this location, the community has been asking for heavy truck cameras, particularly on Sargent Road, because there's been an overabundance of them that have actually caused a sinkhole at the corner of Allison and Sargent Road. We were informed after meeting with both MPD and DDOT that there was a limited number of those heavy truck cameras within the city, and currently they have to move them around, and so you have to make a request for them. So as you will see from the proposal I sent you, the request is for two things. I'm sorry, I'm trying to juggle between multiple screens here. Looking for to get one of those trucks, or cameras to monitor the trucks in that area, but also requesting that, if we need additional funding for that, that we can. So I wanted to get support, first of all, for the request for a truck camera on Sergeant Road. The second one you have in front of you is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to juggle two things at once. The second one you have in front of you is for supporting increased funding and expansion of the police department's motor carrier unit. As you all know, we've had a number of heavy crashes in the area and speeding in the area. And there is, again, as I said, a limited number of large trucks cameras. There's also a limited number of the speed cameras, and several. This came up in Commissioner Fletcher's safety meeting. It's come up in several other ones. We've had a bunch of residents who live in the Puerto Rico, off of Puerto Rico Road in my single member district requesting one. We've been told that, again, it's a funding issue or a limited number of them. So the second proposal you have in front of you is a resolution to support increased funding and expansion of the Metropolitan Police Department's motor carrier unit in support of additional cameras in the area. So I wanted to get your feedback and support on both of those. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Commissioner Lucio, I think what we can do with the commission's agreement here, you have two items, so we should look at each of them separately as you have proposed. So I think the first one that we would want to look at would then be the the letter to the director of DPW concerning use of heavy trucks on Sergeant Road and other residential streets. So in this, you are asking for certain specific things on the second page. Commissioners, you've had an opportunity to see that. I would accept Commissioner Lucio's presentation of this as her motion and with regard to this. And so then I would be looking for someone to second this if you so please, and then we would be able to further discuss this. Is there a second with regard to this motion from Commissioner Lucio with regard to the first letter, the heavy truck letter?
I second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that ANC 5A send the letter to the Director of the Department of Public Works regarding the use of heavy trucks on Sergeant Road and other residential streets, and that we support the relief that is outlined in the letter. Is there any discussion on the motion?
One question.
Yes, sir.
You say Sergeant Road and where on Sergeant Road?
We're at 13th, we're 13th and Sergeant Road becomes 13th Street.
Okay, I've met with D.Dot Kelly Olson about quite a month ago at the intersection of Emerson and Sergeant Road, discussing the same thing about cameras or some way to control the traffic there, because I'm having reports from the residents there about their home vibrating because of the heavy trucks and the buses, and they claim to think that it's the speed bumps they have there. And from my information from them, this has been going on for at least 4 or 5 years. And they have a big complaint about their homes shaking for vibrating with the equipment. Kelly said she would get back to me, but she did inform me that they plan to resurface that Sergeant Road area, only the 4900 block of it. And now people are asking for the same thing in the 1500 block, but she asked about the cameras at that same intersection.
So Commissioner Lockett, let me just clarify one thing. And Chairman, maybe it would just help if I read the bullet points real quick, if that's okay.
Before-
I mean, you can, but I didn't hear him say anything that would be in opposition to what you're saying. It sounds like what he's
Right.
saying is that this is in furtherance maybe of what he has been trying to do. That's the way
Correct.
I,
And so I just wanted to clarify that this letter does cover what he's talking about as well. That's the
Right.
point I wanted to make. It's not just to ask for it in just for my single member district, but as an overall issue within ANC 5A. And there's a list of bullet points, Commissioner Lockett, that address the overall community, including your area.
that's right. And I think Commissioner Lockett, this basically, I think in my reading of this, it supports and expands upon just what you talked about. Is there any other unreadiness? Commissioner Washington, I see your hand.
I'm reading the bullet points that you have, and you're saying within 5A boundaries, but when I read the first part of it is specifically talking about your SMD.
Correct.
So how does this go before DDOT without saying something more about 5A at the beginning? I mean, if you're saying it's within the boundaries of all of 5A.
Sure, I'm happy to
Commission
add that
5A.
language. Yeah, I understand the concern, Commissioner Washington, and I can certainly add a statement in the first paragraph that while this is a concern in 5A03, this is a bigger concern in all of 5A, and that we'd like this to be considered for the area neighborhood commission area.
And Commissioner Washington, you should know this letter that we're voting on is just a shell and a guide for us. We would never start a letter coming from ANC 5A by saying that it's based on the recommendation of a single member district. We are going to be coming forward as ANC 5A, and then maybe at the bottom it may say that some motion or proposal came via there. But we'll work on this and get that straight in terms of what the final letter looks like when it gets out. But I just want us to, as long as we agree with the sentiments of what's being requested, and most specifically those things on the second page.
And I hear you, Commissioner Edwards. I appreciate that. But it also, even under the things that she's highlighting, it also just says placing a camera at Sergeant and Allison, just like Mr. Commissioner
Lockett.
Lockett said. I mean, we all could use a camera in their specific areas of their commission. I mean, having heavy trucks in a neighborhood has been going on over here for as long as I've been the commissioner, because I get all the heavy concrete trucks that come through my community on a regular basis. And I mean, Allison, Buchanan, Crittenden, Fort Totten, every day, coming down Taylor or First Place or up Hawaii Avenue.
Commissioner Washington.
Yes.
I don't think that Commissioner Lucio, and I certainly wouldn't have any problem with you if you have a specific location that you would like to propose a camera, and if it could be added to this, we could do that. Otherwise, if you are not prepared to do that, I mean, I'm not sure that we want to hold this one up. So that's where I am. If you have something that you'd like to add to this, I think we should do that. And Commissioner Lucio, would you have a problem with any amendments if
I have no
areas that
problem
think
with
cameras
that.
need to be?
Yeah, I have no problem with that, Chairman.
Okay, so what we're asking is to approve this with modifications.
Yeah,
I think we can agree that based on the idea now that we are putting together a resolution that will be going, or a letter that will be going to DDOT that focus on certain safety issues throughout the SMD. We have a draft that has been prepared by 5A03. If you all want to take some time, I wish this had come to us earlier so that if any commissioners would want to add to it, we could do that. But I would not like to, if we could avoid delaying this for another month. If we could agree that we agree with the sentiment of this motion, and that other commission, other single member districts would take a few days to look it over, think about their neighborhood, areas where you've discussed with your communities and you feel that there should be cameras or anything that you want to add to this. I don't think we have a problem with it as long as it's within the same gist and the focus of this letter.
Chairman Edwards, I just want to make a point of clarification that everybody was sent this letter prior to the February meeting. So everyone's had it prior to the February meeting, so over a month.
Okay, point well taken. So can we do that? Can we agree on that approach as a common consensus that we agree, we vote to accept this as a draft for the entire commission? Each commission will take a couple of days now and then send in any areas that you, and please don't just throw stuff on here. I mean, it has to be something that you've had some discussions with your community. You all have been working on this, and this is something that you would like to see, your community would like to see cameras in certain locations or whatever that is. I think within reason, we can add those things within a couple of days from today.
I agree. And
Can we do that? And then we will follow through with that in mind with the motion that is on the floor. Are we ready for the question? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, let the record reflect that that was a unanimous vote and that each commission will have between now and let's say Friday to get in any additions that you'd like to see to this. And then we can circulate the final letter one time to all the commissioners over the weekend. And then by Monday, we can be putting this baby in the mail.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, Chairman Edwards. So then there's
The
the
next
second.
one is the resolution supporting increased funding and expansion for the Metropolitan Police Department Carrier Unit. And I will accept Commissioner Lucio's presentation as the motion for this resolution. And I will now entertain a second for that motion. Is there a second? Is there a second? Okay, due to lack of a second, this resolution fails. All right, the next item on, thank you, Commissioner Lucio, for those proposed recommendations.
Chairman Edwards, can I ask a question?
Yes.
If am I able to bring that up at a second time later on? Because the two are related.
Yes, you are. I think you are able, yeah.
I would actually appreciate that. Excuse me, commissioners. I would actually like a little bit more time to review that, Commissioner Lucio. I don't really necessarily have an issue with it, but I just would like more time to review. I'd be the first to admit I didn't review it the first time you sent it out. So give me a couple of days or whatever time we want to circle back on this.
Well, Chairman Edwards, can I ask a question? If someone is willing to second it, can we do something similar to what we did with the first one, where we give some time to make edits per SMD and then revise it to keep moving forward?
I mean, I don't have a problem with if that is the will of the body. I mean, I think that there were on the other one, you know, that came out, and that has not come out in this one. If that is the will of the body, I will entertain that. Yeah.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
I too need more time because I'm not quite understanding about the second resolution. So I need some time to get more clarity for myself. I'm not quite understanding that.
So does that mean that you would not feel comfortable even voting on anything right now?
I wouldn't feel comfortable. No, not on this one. I need to get some clarity.
All right, so Chairman Edwards, again, just to clarify that these both were sent out in February.
I understand. I understand. But like I said, for lack of a second here tonight, I cannot move that forward. But if you bring it back, that does not prohibit you from bringing it back to a future meeting, because if we didn't vote it down, just no action was taken on it.
Okay, then I'd like to request that if it's okay with you, that I will put it on the agenda for our April meeting, in the understanding that the commissioners who need additional time will take the time between now and April to review it so we can fully discuss it in April.
That works for me.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you, commissioners, for that segment of the meeting. We're now in the item 5 under community updates, MPD. We are now at that portion. Commissioner Lucio, who do we have?
I did see Commander Shutt is here. And I
Okay.
believe Derek Staten is as well.
All right, Lieutenant Shaw.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I just had an issue with the last meeting I said. Okay, give you a heads up. And anybody can pull us up at any point in time under DC crime cards. The ANC in the last 30 days only had 24 crimes, and out of those 24 crimes, they were actually property crimes only. We had 7 vehicles stolen, 7 thefts, and 10 theft from autos. So we're still seeing that. We're still seeing pop-ins, people leaving cars running. And again, I'd like to reiterate to people, if the fob is in your pocket and your car is running, doesn't mean they can't be stolen. We just had one last night. Guy left the car running, ran in the house to pick up a suitcase, came out, car's gone. So again, unless you're sitting in your car, please don't leave it running. We've even had some council members had that incident happen. Now, outside of the actual ANC, in the actual sector, which is PSA 405, 406, and 407, we did have the ADW gun down on Turkey Thicket in the last 30 days. In that case, 2 individuals were at the Brooklyn Plaza. A gentleman started shooting a weapon at them. These 2 gentlemen pulled out guns and fired back. Those 2 gentlemen had previously been arrested with guns, and they were arrested again. Even though they're the victims of the shooting and we're still investigating the shooting, they were placed under arrest for having firearms, and they're not authorized to have them. And they were previous felons, so they're really not allowed to have guns. We had another shooting up on Sheridan Street. That was, we actually closed that with an arrest. We actually made an arrest in that. Other than that, overall, the last 30 days, we've had 1 robbery and 1 burglary in the whole sector. And that's not your ANC, that's the sector. But again, even throughout the sectors, we're still seeing a lot of thefts, motor vehicle thefts, and theft from autos. The other good thing I'd like to say is all of the members of the 4th district have been brought back from their previous detailed out due to the incidents at the Capitol. So the good news is we are back to a steady manpower. So you should be seeing more officers in vehicles or out in their cars. And hopefully when it gets warmer, you'll start seeing them on their bikes again too.
If I could ask you a quick question, we just had a very lengthy discussion about a resolution that was being proposed to increase funding for the police department's motor carrier unit. You have a position on that?
As far as I know, the motor carrier unit is under the traffic division, which is under the special operations division. So in reference to their funding, I can't really comment on that because I don't know what part of that gets reimbursed through the federal government, et cetera, on that. In terms of manpower, they can probably use a little more because they're under SOD. When incidents happen, like at the demonstrations and that, sometimes those individuals do get pulled for that. So can't really comment on the whole money situation. In terms of manpower, I'm sure they would love a few more individuals over there to be able to, one, do the jobs that they have to do. I've also gotten complaints about heavy trucks up near the Walmart up at Nicholson Street north of Riggs Road, where they like to cut through, even though it says no trucks through, they still like to cut through there. And I know they were up there a couple of times writing tickets on those vehicles up there to go to the warehouse up there by 3rd and Nicholson, 2nd and Nicholson area.
Chairman Edwards, if I could just say that I would like to thank MPD after Commissioner Fletcher's meeting earlier this month about crime. There was some discussion during that meeting about the truck traffic at Sergeant Road and Allison. And immediately the next day, there was a car parked, an MPD car parked there monitoring the truck and ticketing the trucks as they came by. So that meeting did have an immediate impact.
Yes, and I don't know if you were here earlier, Lieutenant Shop, when I thanked the police department for participating in our safety task force forum that we had earlier. Are there any other questions for Lieutenant Shop?
One question.
Go ahead.
Lieutenant Charles
Yes,
Lockett, 5802 North Michigan Park. I've been here for 50 years. In the last 5 years, this same gentleman walks to the neighborhood, and I just heard 2 ladies tell me the other day, he presents himself to them. And when somebody asks that to do something, he runs away. I know you've heard this complaint sometimes, am I correct?
I have no clue what you're talking about. Hold on for a second. Let me see if I can pull up. The other thing I have found out is a lot of people, you got to remember, we have a lot of officers, a lot of people that tell us things. I had one lady go, well, you should know about this over in the area. And it's like, did you dial 911? They're like 311. And again, I'd like to reiterate to individuals that in the community that the police department only has one phone number, and that's 911. And I'm trying to look up to see if we've actually had any calls. Is he like a
He's
flasher,
exposing
or-
himself. He's exposing himself. And it's been going on for 2-3 years, off and on.
He's been reported though, right, Mr. Lockett?
I reported it about 2 years ago, and I keep hearing it every now and then when I walk through the community. It pops up, and the lady say, "Yeah," and I see him every day. And I mean, something they say something's wrong with him. I don't see that when I can see him getting in a car, riding in the Walmarts and shopping and come back out. That's not somebody who's deranged or has an illness or something. There's something else going on here. But I've heard this for at least 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years, at the bus stop here. That's why I say complaints have been filed from there. Women are at the bus stop, and he exposed himself, even at the corner store and in the neighborhood. Lady just told me it on Saturday, right down the street. The guy exposed himself. And this has been going on for a while. This has been reported. So I was just asking the lieutenant, has he had anything recently, somebody bringing that to their attention?
Again, not that I'm aware of, but again, doesn't mean it hasn't happened. I'm trying to see if we've got a call in. They've changed some of the calls. Do we have a 100 block this normally happens in, or is it all over?
You could say the 4800 block, 4900 block, Emerson Street, 12th, 11th, and all the way over to Sergeant Road, all up in that area there. He lives up here somewhere, I think on 12th Street, off of Emerson. Yeah, on 12th Street over there.
Could possibly have some sort of mental disorder that comes and goes. That's what.
And that's the first thing I thought, Commissioner Washington. But when I see him get in a car and
That's
drive
okay.
the car,
People
go
can get
shopping
in
at
a car and
Walmart,
drive and still have mental issues.
and
Yeah.
shopping at Walmart like a functional person.
But you can still do that and have mental issues.
Yeah, and they confused. I'm a
Got
little
your
confused.
medication. Yeah,
Right. That's what I'm saying. He could still have those issues.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay.
It could be a fact that he's on and off his medication.
Right.
Again, if you see this individual and he's suspicious, again, 911. I know right now a lot of people go, well, I don't want to call. I don't want to bother the police. The good news is if we can at least identify him, so that if he does do this again and we have a reported crime where somebody will actually go forward and identify him, usually this is either handled by the our regular 40 detectives right now, Sometimes we make an arrest for it. The sex squad will actually come in and assist with the prosecution on it. So again, I encourage individuals to, if they see this, give us a call. One other thing I do want to reiterate, we saw last month, and I live in Virginia, we've even had it down there, is we are seeing an increase in thefts of the catalytic converters, especially from the Toyotas and Hondas. It's usually a case of they have to crawl underneath the car and cut them off. I'm not a mechanic, but from what I understand, you can usually hear the noise, and it takes them probably 2 to 3 minutes to do it. So again, I would encourage people that if they happen to see anybody crawling under or around a car, please give us a call.
And you say those were Hondas?
Yes, it's a catalytic converter. It's the part that goes, it's been explained to me, from the engine, comes out the pipe from the main of the engine block, the exhaust pipe, and then it's in between the engine and the muffler, and it's got very valuable metals inside of it that they cut them out, and then they take them to scrap yards and attempt to sell them.
Okay.
One more for you, Lieutenant, and I'll get out of your way.
Not at all.
We've had a gentleman, I guess, right here in my home itself. It's been going on for 3 years, where this person is coming around just dropping bags of junk on people's porches. Have we had anything on that? And I've called it in twice, maybe 3 times, and they come pick the material. The last time was about 3 months ago. Do we still have this being reported in the community what this person is doing?
I don't know if a specific person does it, but we do get a lot of calls for people finding things. I found a wallet in the trash can. I found a suitcase in the trash can. We as the police department, unless we can obviously tell that it's junk, like it's been ripped up or not, a lot of times we do come and get that stuff and we put it on our property book as found property in case somebody wants to come and get it. But realistically, I don't know of a lot of calls for an individual that just dropping packages anywhere. I do know that we've had a couple of calls for people who have not shut their doors properly and have come home and found, we just had one last night in the Michigan road area where a person notified us. We found the door open. It looked like a homeless guy was starting to use it. The neighbor let us know that they weren't home, but apparently he was using it for his drugs, his usage of drugs. So again, if you see these suspicious people, give us a call. We can check them out. We'll come around. And worst comes to worst, they see the police in the neighborhood. Sometimes they decide that it's not a good neighborhood to hang out in. Again, that's the basis of neighborhood watch. You see something suspicious, give us a call.
All right, thank you.
All right, Lieutenant Shout, looks like there are no other questions from the commissioners or the neighborhood. Thank you for your report.
Y'all have a good one. Enjoy the warm weather this weekend.
You too. All right,
Chairman
moving
Nokomis
right
Hunter
along.
Nokomis Hunter is on the call.
Okay, we're now turning the floor over to Nokomis Hunter from the mayor's office. Nokomis, you got the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner Everett. I want to thank you all for having me on. I hope your day was great. I would like to start with my update. I'm not going to be long. The daily, with the daily case rate, the daily case rate can be found on coronavirus.dc.gov/reopening matrix. The next check-in date for the public health matrix and district vaccination rate will be on Monday, April the 5th. To move on, I can say my apologies. So as we all must know, the bike to work day, it would be on Friday, May 21 of this year. So for those that is interested in participating in this event, you can bike to work. Along with the other district residents, you can go to bike to work metrodc.org. Move on. If you know anyone that is homebound and that is a senior and a need to get vaccinated, can you please email me their information, even if it's a phone number or you know, a way that I can get in contact with them to gather any further information so that I can get them on the list to get vaccinated. As far as gym, indoor group fitness classes are open, can be open up to 10 people, and outdoor classes are open up to 50 people. For live entertainment, movie theater may open with no more than 25 people in auditorium or theater. Playground are all open now. Limited numbers of DPR indoor recreation centers are open for program and reservation only activity. And DPR field, this is our limit to 250 people. And I would like to open the floor to any additional questions or concerns that you guys may have. As the rest of my updates are like this is concerning about the clinic, the vaccination clinic that has recently opened.
Yes, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
How do you deal with a homeless person has made a Department of Recreation playground his home, and it's been going on for over a year?
Okay. I will most definitely reach out to the I'm trying to think of the name, but the agency that deals with encampment to try to get their encampment removed, since it's a public space where kids and families come and play.
But it's government property.
Yeah.
Department of Recs.
Yeah, so if you can give me the location or the recreation center where I can.
That's North Michigan Park Recreation Center.
North Michigan Park Recreation. Okay. So I can reach out to our encampment agency to try to get that resolved and work with you to keep you updated.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Nokomis, we had a earlier discussion, and if you can get any insight from me regarding this resolution, we was talking about increased funding for the Metropolitan Police Department Motor Carrier Unit. Like to see what you can find out for me and get back to me sometime between now and say our next meeting with regard to what that looks like, what the needs potentially are from the police department standpoint, and then how it would be useful, if it would be useful. I'd kind of like to know from you all what your take is on something like that.
Okay, sure. And I can give you a call either after this meeting or either tomorrow, whenever it's more convenient to you. We can discuss later.
All right. Any other questions for Nokomis? All right, Nokomis, not seeing any. It's been a good report as always. Thank you. You said May 21st was for the bike to work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. That's it then. Thank you for your report.
All right. No problem.
Okay.
Silas Grant is on the.
Mr. Grant, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone in ANC 5A and all the other guests. I am Silas Grant, Senior Advisor for the Ward 5 Council Office. I just want to provide some brief updates to you all. First, I want to thank all of the folks who have been helping to push the word out about the vaccinations throughout the ward. We've had some really good feedback in terms of people signing up for the vaccinations. The council member was out. This is not in 5A, but he was out within Ward 5 this past weekend at the Edgewood Rec, checking out the event there that was put on by DC Housing Authority, which was able to vaccinate a number of people who live in housing authority buildings in the ward, and also people that are not in housing authority buildings but signed up for that location at that time. And so you all are always helpful as commissioners to get the word out, to help people get the resources that they need, and that is greatly appreciated. I want to thank you all also for putting on the public safety meeting that took place I believe a few days ago, last week, I think late last week. It was well attended, and I had an opportunity to be one of the panelists, and it was definitely good to be able to hear from some of the other agencies that joined us on that call. Just want to give you guys a brief update with respect to the fiscal year 22 budget request letter that was put forth by the council member. As you all know, traditionally, the council members send out their priority letters to the mayor to let the mayor know what their priorities are for the ward and what they're hearing from residents throughout the ward. And so there were a number of themes that came out of the letter, which was also deeply influenced by residents throughout the ward and definitely folks in 5A. 5A has definitely always been responsive to the council members' call for input with respect to budget items. And so, one of the biggest things within his letter was an effort to close the racial wealth gap. And there are a number of ideas within that realm that adds up to an estimated $120 million in requests for items that are related to the racial wealth gap that is in existence here in DC. Um, the next big item that came out of the letter is the affordable housing and anti-displacement efforts. Among his requests, the estimate of approximately $156 million is listed within that letter. Um, as we've been talking about a lot in 5A, public safety and community investments, almost $10 million within his letter specific to public safety and again, community investments. I would highlight, I've talked about this a bit in some of the single member district meetings that have been held within 5A over the last couple of weeks, but he is making a specific request for violence interruption teams to go to the Riggs Park portion of 5A and also advocating for additional pathways program cohorts for individuals that are at risk. The one's office has done a really good job with respect to working with some of the most at-risk people through a life skills and development program, again called the Pathways Program, which has been working. And so the council member wanted to add more dollars to add more cohorts to that. There's also been a lot of discussion about additional library and recreation opportunities. And so within the letter is also a little more than $42 million in requests for libraries and recreation opportunities here in the ward. With respect to the library discussion, there's been some specific discussions around an additional library site, again, not in 5A, but in the ward, somewhere within the Eckington, Stronghold, Edgewood area. And so, that is again a request that he is making that there be funding put in place for those sorts of items within Ward 5. The last thing I'll mention before I open up for questions is that the council member advanced the social equity framework within the new comprehensive recreational cannabis legislation. And so he joined Chairman Mendelson and Councilmember Allen and others to introduce the Comprehensive Cannabis Legislation and Regulation Act of 2021. This bill creates a regulatory scheme for the cultivation, manufacturing, and sale of recreational cannabis products. It also includes a provision that ensures that Black Washingtonians who were targeted by the war on drugs, that they're able to fairly compete in this industry of recreational cannabis. Now, we're also looking to plan a town hall in the near future, and we'll get the word out to you all on the specific date. But we're planning a town hall, and the specific discussion will be about recreational cannabis and also how social equity fits into that. So look forward to us being able to put a flyer out, hopefully in the next couple of days, so that we can have that town hall really, really soon. Along the lines of town halls, we also heard loud and clear from the Ward 5 leadership meetings that there were residents and leaders in Ward 5 that wanted to talk about the long lasting impact of COVID-19, whether it be those who were afflicted by the virus or those who were impacted like we all were as a result of the shutdown and the pandemic. And so we're also planning in the very near future a town hall that will allow medical experts and residents alike to come together to talk about what the next steps look like with respect to not just responding to the reopening of the city, but just the lasting psychological effects that COVID-19 may potentially have on all of us. So with that, Chairman Edwards, I will give you back the floor and I'll allow you to man the questions to determine where we should go as far as the order.
Chairman Edwards, just let me make sure you're aware. I realize we want to do the commissioners first, but there is a question in the chat for Silas when you feel it's appropriate.
Oh, yeah, no, and that was going to be the first thing I do is say Silas there was, and I don't know if you saw it floating in the chat, but a question about the comprehensive plan, just kind of wanting to know what the council members' take is on the status of the comprehensive plan and how things are going so far.
Certainly. So I saw the question, and Mr. Wheatley, thank you for submitting that. With respect to the comprehensive plan, it's my understanding that the chairman is looking to take on the comp plan in terms of a vote at some point in April. I've not received the exact date just yet, but it appears that the chairman wants to address that prior to the budget coming down. The estimate for the budget date is April 22nd. And so I know that there are two ledge meetings scheduled in April, one on April 6th and one on April 20th. So there is a chance that we will be having that comp plan vote at that particular time. With respect to racial equity, and I know the example that was put in the question in the chat was about Brooklyn Manor. I know there was racial equity language added to the comprehensive plan that will be reviewed, but I'm kind of struggling to provide an answer with respect to the example that was given. So if Mr. Wheatley, if you could type a little more, maybe I'll be able to provide a more specific answer about that particular piece.
Mr. Wheatley, if you could, you can, if you got a little follow-up or something to maybe what he said, you can come unmute.
Okay, yeah, and thank you. So this past week, and I was part of a DC grassroots coalition that's studying it, and Council Chair Mendelson attended. And as most folks know by now, I lost the case against the city with respect to the development of the Josephite Seminary. And one of my main arguments was gentrification. Of course, I know more about that now than I did when I first started that suit. It seems like the city, through the mayor, and I don't know where all the council members are, but the whole process of developing equity using AMI seems to be a farce. And what I need to do, what I'll do for all of you council members, ANC commissioners and council members, is forward a document that one of the members of the DC Grassroots Coalition did in terms of making an astute observation and an analysis of how the current provisions that are being shown in the comprehensive plan is a racist document. And it's because how AMI is being used to better prop up those who are making 80 to 110 or 20% of AMI, when it was really initially designed to help those who are at 70 or 60 and below. And so the way the developers are and the city seems to be promoting the development to that end, it's almost criminal.
Silas, you have any further follow-up to that? And then we will move on. Do you have any follow-up?
So I don't have any specific follow-up because I've not had that direct conversation around the scales with the AMI. And I believe Mr. Wheatley's referring to in many instances when there are PUD developments and there's some sort of exchange with respect to in exchange for the variances providing affordable housing and the rates and the scales based on the AMI. I've not had that direct discussion with the council member as it pertains to the comprehensive plan. So I'm not equipped to make that answer at this point, but I can look into that and try to get back to you.
Well,
Okay.
I would appreciate that, but as I said, I will try to forward you some direct links to what is perceived to be either some ambiguity, and if not, at the very least, loopholes in the policies and provisions, statutes that are, I guess they're legal, but you know, in terms of the intent, is really, as I said, morally corrupt.
Sure. So I just put my email address in there in the event that you don't have it already. And please send me those links so I can review those.
I'd like to add something to what Mr. Weekly is saying. And when he refers to gentrification, I know people might think they're a little tired of what I'm saying here, but when you take gentrification, which has been going on since the 70s, and you might find 200 or 300 different interpretations of what gentrification, but the other part that goes with that is called structural racism. When you take developers who come into the community here and they build all these 900 square feet homes and they're priced so you have to make $150,000 a year to even live in one, let alone a down payment. But you take all the necessities, as we've seen when we stopped the liquor store in the 4900 block of South Dakota Avenue. You took away a barbershop, would accommodate the neighborhood, a beauty parlor, accommodated the neighborhood, and you gave us nothing. And for now 10 years, the developer up the street by Bacchus has been promising us a supermarket. And it's going on 10 years. But you still building, but we still cannot get any necessities in the community that benefit us. Walmart is a little convenience store to me, but to go into a supermarket and get all the fresh vegetables and things like that, or a barbershop, which has been walking distance of your community, when you don't do those things, you keep building. Or when the Catholic Church leases property, not sell it, it leases the property and still not pay taxes in the city for their property. And then you go and put up a solar farm that does not benefit the community. And you're going to sell that off, but you do not pay taxes. That's a part of structural racism that puts people like us out of this community, where forces it out. Because if you make less than $120,000, you can't live here. Sorry.
Commissioners, what I hear sort of brewing in the background, and I really want to make sure that as we get into these discussions, that we are completely educated and informed on those issues that we are talking about. I know in one instance, we are talking about the AMI as it relates to development projects. And then there's others who would say it's not the AMI that these projects are based on, it's MFI. You know, so we want to make sure we can bring everybody together. I think sort of like one of those forums that we just had on public safety. I think if we want to get into, say, economic development, talk about gentrification, talk about AMI, talk about those things, and then try to come up with a direction, I think we should try to do that at sometime soon in a future meeting. Otherwise, Silas, are there any other questions for Silas before we let him go? We have, okay, Silas, go ahead.
There's two more questions in the chat. The first is from David. David's question is about the ability of our office to respond to the high amount of marijuana smoke in the neighborhood and how it compromises the clean air that folks would like to breathe. So I'll say this specifically. We had already been in the works to have a meeting between our constituent team and our community engagement team and DOEE to talk about some of the issues around marijuana smoke, not specific to walking around outside, but we've had our fair share of calls from residents, some that live in 5A, that have neighbors who consume marijuana next door to them, and there's some folks who their properties have been compromised about the smoke. DOEE, the reason why we want to bring them in is because, you know, they are the environmental expert agency within the government, but they also provide opportunities specific for some of our elders in the community to be able to do upgrades to protect them from some of the elements that come in from next door neighbors. And so we're looking to get a date for our team to meet up with DOEE to talk specifically about some of the issues around row houses and smoke infiltrating neighboring houses where folks are consuming marijuana and other sorts of tobacco products. So once we get a debriefing from them on what they're capable of doing, if there's any way that we can support that agency through budget upgrades, then certainly that'll be a recommendation that will come out of our office. With respect to the marijuana smoke in public space, that is something that my first inclination is that that's more of an MPD sort of issue than it is within the council. But David, I do thank you for bringing that up, because if we continue to hear comments such as this one, then I think it's important for us to also make MPD aware that we're hearing these things, and so that the consumption of marijuana in the public space at this point, to my understanding, is still not permissible. So if we're seeing that happening in certain spaces, please let us know where that's happening so that we can make MPD aware of that. Chairman Edwards, the other question is from Uchenna, and it's about the path between Galloway and Gallatin. And the question is, MPS seems like they keep changing the timeline for finishing up testing. Congresswoman Norton is having an MPS meeting tomorrow, so hoping they provide an update tomorrow. But I recall at one time you said that the council office was trying to hold regular meetings with MPS. Uchenna, so we had a meeting, and I'm trying to recall the date, but it was within the last few weeks. And there was an update on that. And what I'll do, I got to pull my notes, but I want to stay on, and I'll put the note in the chat on the update on that, Uchenna. So just give me a moment and I'll put that in the interest of time.
All right, and I want to thank you, Silas. In the interest of time, everybody, I do need to move on. We got still got a pretty lengthy agenda in the next part for our meeting, and so Silas said he is going to hang around. So if you all would shoot any questions that you might have to him in the chat, and then maybe later on, if we have some time, we may come back. But Silas, could you kind of wrap up, and we can move on to our next.
Yes, certainly. Thank you all again. I put my email in the chat, and to the unanswered question, I'm finding my notes now, Uchenna, and I'll put that in the notes section.
All right. Thank you again, Silas, for a very good report as always, very detailed and very informative. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. We are now in the sixth segment of our meeting now. We will start to receive presentations. The first one, I will turn the floor over to Commissioner Washington. This is for an update, I think, from DC Bilingual. And Commissioner Washington, I'm asking you if you all could hold this segment to about 5 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards. Yeah, I invited DC Bilingual to come out to give an update on their development that they're going to be having at DC Bilingual Public Charter School that's located at 33 Ricks Road Northeast. Daniela Anello, who is the principal. Are you the principal? Yeah. And John Byer are both on, and they're going to do an update on the project. I think they gave some information to Commissioner Lucio, some documents on the presentation, if she could put them up. Hopefully you guys can keep this. I had said 10 minutes. I hear my chairman saying 5 minutes, but let's try to do the best we can.
Work
And if
with
we have
10.
some questions afterwards, we can go forward with that. You guys have the floor.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Washington. And I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Daniela Nello and I'm head of school, and I'm accompanied today by John Breyer, who's our project manager. He will be presenting. And then we also have Esmeralda Sullivan on the call, and she's our operations manager. So all three of us are here, and all of us are committed to making this project work as smoothly as possible for our community and making sure that we hear your feedback and that we work together to make this be a smooth process for everyone. So with that, I'll turn it over to John.
Danielle,
Hey.
I'm sorry, real quick, can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Yes, you did send me the PowerPoint. Yes, I do have it. But it may be easier for you all to flip through the slides. I can give you someone hosting permission if that makes it easier.
I think that would
That
be
would-
wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
so
give
who
the-
should I give hosting permission to?
John.
Give it to me and I can do it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, the only reason that we need it is we need it for our records. So let me, John Breyer, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucio.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. All right, so we're going to quickly go through this presentation deck because we definitely want to leave time for questions, but we can definitely circulate any additional information. So what we're going to talk about, what we're building, what we've already done, what information is important, and here if there's anything you need from the school moving forward. So we're building a 27,000 square foot addition that's going to add an additional 234 seats. We have a slow growth model, and it's going to start in 2022 and go till 2028. Later on in the presentation, we'll show a slide about that. These are just a couple renditions we have about the construction. This is from the corner of Rock Creek Church and Riggs Road. This is what it looks like if you were heading north on Rock Creek Road to Riggs Road. This is an area from the back parking lot. Along with the addition of the building, we're also going to complete the site work and modernize it. If you've been behind the school, you know that the parking lot's still pretty broken up. And so it's just to complete the campus and provide all the facilities we need for the student population. Again, the reasons we were looking at growth is because of the high demand for the school, as well as to add some things that we need for ideal programming that we didn't have. This is a quick graph that is just showing you the amount of spots we've had available over time, and then the enrollments over time are on the far right. And then for the last 3 years, you see the historic data from our wait list. This is a breakdown on where the students who are applying to our school are coming from. So in wards 4 and 5, you can see we get the majority of our applications, and that's where the families, we have the highest demand to attend the school. This is just a historical timeline of what the school's gone through to get to this point and make this decision. This chart is showing the way we're adding students. So if you follow the total number down here at the bottom, you will see the additional new spots each year. So we start at 52, the next year 42, and move up until we finally have 712 students on the property. So what we've been doing, we've done several things here. We've been circulating flyers in the neighborhood to communicate about what's going on. The school is well aware of the residential concern of parking in the streets. We have rented 91 additional parking spaces from 2 churches in the area, which is more than we are eliminating both during construction. And then we anticipate these agreements to go on long term. But the 91 spaces will be dedicated to the families for parking, to our staff for parking, as well as the construction workers for parking. This graph, or excuse me, this picture here is just showing you where these lots are. So if you're familiar with the area, there's one behind.
What streets are they?
Yeah. So this is Riggs Road. Here is the school. So the first one is the church at North Capitol and Riggs Road. So if you were heading northbound on North Capitol, there's a parking lot in the back and there's a parking lot in the front. And then as well, if you were heading east on Riggs Road and taking right on the first place to go into the metro, there's DMV Church owns both these lots right here. And so, so we're going to be using this lot and then the lot behind the church.
And John, if I can interrupt real quick, I just want to add that we are doing a huge communication effort to get parents to park at the lots, or to get them to come into the school driveway to not park their car, but we would help them exit their children out of the car and then they drive away. So we heard the feedback loud and clear from the community. We've also presented at ANC 4B, and we heard a lot of residents asking that our families not park on residential streets, not block driveways, not be around the houses in the neighborhood during drop off and pickup times. So we are pushing that our community park at those lots that we've rented, and we're offering drop and go basically, so that kids can just be pulled out of cars and the cars keep going, and that happen in the parking lot and not have traffic stopped out on Riggs Road.
The other thing we've done is we've hired additional staff and security to help with traffic control and safety in the mornings at arrival and in the afternoons at dismissal.
And we have a DDOT crossing guard. Can you go back to the map, John? We have a DDOT crossing guard. Can you show where? Yeah, perfect. Thank you. There, stationed there, her name is Miss Renee, and she's going to be there during every morning from 7 to 9 a.m. and then from 3 to 5 p.m., helping all of our students and staff cross the street.
The one other thing, as everyone knows, PEPCO has been working in the street on the grid update, and we have been in coordination with them. So when we do have to go into public space, we will let everyone know as soon as we know what time that's going to be, and we are coordinating with their construction department to try to have as minimal impact on the community, both during the work period as well as the restoration of Riggs Road.
So Commissioner,
go
ahead.
There's two more slides and then I guess we'll take questions. So we'll be sharing an update. We'll through our websites. We will continue to attend ANC meetings to answer questions. And you're always welcome to reach out to us and ask any questions, concerns. My information is up here. This is my phone number and email address. So any questions about what's going on to construction, anything you want to bring to our attention, please contact me, and I'm here. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
All right. So I guess Commissioner Washington, thanks to you all for this update. So there is nothing official that you need from the commission, Commissioner Washington. This is just an update.
That's correct. It's just an update on the process and the project as they have presented it. I had a lot of concern about the project in the beginning, and I still do, because of the fact that it's just increasing traffic in our community. But I think that all of the projects that are done for public charter schools are under DGS, and they go through a different process than what we as normal would be to say a yay or nay. They didn't ask for our support. I don't think that they really need our support. I'm more concerned about, as I've spoken with John and Daniela, about traffic concerns as it relates to doing the construction. I see the growth of the school. I don't have a problem with. I don't think my community has a problem with, since the majority of the children come from Ward 5 and Ward 4. Commissioner Allison and I have talked about it because we've met. She's in 4B. as I say, my concern is just making sure of how the traffic is going to impact Riggs Road and Fort Totten Drive down to South Dakota Avenue during the construction period. And I've asked them to provide me with as much information as they can as to when the construction starts, how often the streets are going to be closed, the hours they're going to be closed, if there's going to be any night work done. I think we need to know that for both 4B and 4A for our residents, so that we'll be able to make sure that they are not greatly impacted 5 or 6 days a week during the day, especially with traffic starting to come back and individuals going back to work. And as John had said, Pepco's been working up there for weeks. And I'm hoping that that will help tie into what construction they're going to be having done as well.
All right, so it sounds like you guys have a good working relationship and you're sharing information. And so it sounds like there's not any problems or anything, any areas where you see the ANC can be beneficial at this point. Is there anything else that you'd like to get discussed here tonight?
No, I'm good, unless anyone has any questions or.
I have a question, Chairman Edwards. My hand is
Okay.
raised. I just wanted to ask whether you all had done a traffic study and whether we might be able to see a copy of that. I don't know if you've done one for as a school and perhaps during construction as well. I don't know if you've done two separate ones in terms of those, but I would be very interested in seeing the traffic study, because I would agree with Commissioner Washington that the traffic would be a biggest concern, particularly as it relates to, I understand the traffic, the construction's an issue, but for me, my issue is more in terms of the students. And having worked with the school development in my SMD, which I think, John, you're aware of, I think that I think that's something that we need to pay particular attention to and make sure all the bases are covered, particularly on such a heavy traffic road. And the one thing I couldn't really tell from the drawings that you showed in the slides was if anything was going to change with the construction of the building, because it seems to me that it's a prime opportunity when you're going to be completely adding more space to that building to reroute the entrance so that you can allow for a traffic pattern that's safer for students and everything. And I didn't see that.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, we did do a traffic study. I will send you the final draft as soon as it's complete. We're just working out one detail with it. But we did do counts before the pandemic. It was right before the pandemic started. We did look at a curb cut coming in off of Rock Creek Church. And like I said, Grove Slade was our traffic engineers on the study. Ultimately, it was decided it would have more of a negative impact on the community by adding that curb cut than not adding it. So we took their advice to not try to pursue that and close the Riggs Road entrance. We've also coordinated with Metropolitan Branch Trail, and they are putting, independent of the school, a light up at the crosswalk for the as the trail comes across. And so we're coordinating with them as far as our school arrival and dismissal schedule for the timing of the lights. So again, the engineers will set up the best timings on Riggs Road to keep the traffic flow going. But I will share the traffic study with you, and
okay,
that would be
thank you.
good.
I appreciate that.
I would need that too. Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you can either send it to us individually, or if you send it to me, I can share it with all the commissioners or whichever.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
I'd like to echo on Commissioner Washington. I would travel through that area, and I refuse to go through a rush hour through that area. It is that bad. Coming down Sergeant Road, crossing North Capitol. I wish you the best, but I only ask that you be safe. That is a very unsafe area to be in, rush out, probably almost 24 hours a day. And when you put Chick-fil-A down at the bottom of the hill, that's going to be a major accident waiting to happen with all the big trucks coming through there and only traffic lights controlling the traffic. That's going to take the,
We've had those we've had those discussions, Commissioner Lockett, about the
Okay.
trucks and
And I agree
safety.
with you.
And
That's a hard
definitely
word.
right. Yes,
Yeah.
we've had
Okay.
those discussions.
Just be safe. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say for the record as well that I support my colleagues regarding traffic congestion all over that neighborhood.
Yes.
It's something that I think you as an entity, as a school, need to continue to do more work and research around, because traffic studies are great, but when it's real time and it's rush hour and you can't make that left turn, going to be a real problem. And then I'm not sure if you guys know, but social justice school is going back in person.
Mhm.
The library is being renovated. The townhomes on the corner
That's
of Ridge and
right.
South Dakota. So Chick-fil-A. So just continue to take all that in consideration.
Yes,
So I support everything that's
definitely.
being said.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Fletcher. You're absolutely correct. And then that's a main street from outside the city into the city. So, yeah, safety is really something that is of great importance to all of us as it relates to that area. And with the children being there and cross guards, I'm glad to hear that they're going to put a light there. But still, we need to stay focused on the safety issue and the traffic there.
All right, this has been a very interesting discussion. We've certainly ran over our time on this one. It sounds like there's a traffic study out there somewhere, and they're gonna put that together and get it to us so we can take a look at it. Commissioner Washington, just need you to know we're here to support you in any way you think that the commission can be helpful in terms of this particular situation. Seems like you have it under control and you have a good relationship, but don't hesitate to let us know if there's anything that the commission can do. Is there anything on closeout for you guys?
Well, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate the presentation, and we will be in touch.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. The next item is a continuing follow-up to an ongoing discussion we've been having with Catholic University about further modifications to their campus plan that we previously have supported. They was at our last meeting and gave us an update on what they were planning to do with regard to building the new nursing dorm, I believe. Yeah. So I will let Ms. O'Connor sort of bring us up to date now, fill us in, bring us up from last week, and then commission, I think we're going to be prepared here tonight to vote on a resolution regarding this. Ms. O'Connor.
Thank you. Thank you for having us back, and a special shout out to our colleagues from American University who are here tonight. We always like to see our students involved in such impressive activities as the ANC meeting. We don't have any updates or changes from the materials that we presented both verbally at our meeting last month and the materials that were recirculated either electronically or by hand delivery since that meeting. But because the meeting was long the last time, the commissioners felt that they may have some questions or comments that they wanted to make in light of the materials being circulated again. So we wanted to certainly cooperate. Our full staff is here to respond to questions. We've also circulated tonight an updated resolution and letter that changes only the date of the meeting to tonight rather than February 24th, just to make it a little easier for you logistically. And to remind you that these materials will be due at the Board of Zoning by the 9th. There is a particular crunch of information because of people working from home and the particular absences and leave at the beginning of April due to religious holidays, spring breaks, etc., which will slow down their ability to put together the necessary packet for the hearing later that month. So we'd appreciate your keeping that timeframe in mind as you act on these requests.
Thank you. Commissioners, you were, I think everybody here tonight was pretty much in attendance at our last meeting when Catholic U made the presentation regarding this proposal. As I indicated, we've supported their campus plan. This is a modification to the campus plan, basically to construct a new school of nursing. The school of nursing is 90,347 let's see, 90,347 square feet of gross space. It is 60, the building is going to be approximately 67 feet, 7 inches in height, and it will be set back 22 feet, 1 inch from the property line along Michigan Avenue. They gave us detailed sketchings of that last week. At our last meeting. The plans that they have put forth, they've indicated are not are consistent with the comprehensive plan and the campus plan that was approved. All of the residents were notified within the boundaries of the location. They've indicated that the building and this construction will not have an adverse impact on the residents. It's going to be right there close to the Monroe Street Market, close to my single member district. So that is a general summary, I think, and mostly the concerns that we as a commission might have. Are there any other questions or concerns that anybody have from Catholic U while they're here before we move this to a vote?
I do, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
I read your package, and I guess the first 12 pages are all structured around parking. That seemed to be a real big problem in that area, as we were just talking about the school here. Is there any other spaces in that area to tone this parking down a little? Because, it sounds like people gonna be a little careful how they walk around there, because people are searching to park in people residential neighborhoods or in wrong parking spaces or getting their vehicles towed or something like that. Has this always been a problem for parking in that area?
Currently, there are, I think, 45 spaces in the parking lot that this building will replace, and there's interior parking being added to the building to replace that. Our students typically walk to classes either because they live on campus or residents in the nearby community, so it doesn't create traffic in that regard. There's public parking in the Monroe Street building, right a half a block from where this is going to be, which is undersubscribed. And there's new building that's unrelated to us, but there's new building in the area, which is also adding additional parking to it. So we travel a lot across the street to frequent the businesses that are on Monroe Street there. And there is not a pedestrian issue, and there's not really a parking issue. They have changed the parking now largely to facilitate people going in and picking up carryout as opposed to dining in along that street, which really facilitates the churn because of the increased demand in that kind of service. But even while it was full service, in-restaurant service, there was adequate parking in that area. There may be others from the university who may want to comment on that, but that's, we know that parking is a concern to the commission, and that's why we try thoroughly to vet that issue, because we know it's of concern and should be concern to the commission. So we did try to address it, but that was not an indication that there's a perceived problem in the area. It was rather addressed to the fact that we know that this is a concern to the commission.
Ms. O'Connor, I just want to ask a question as a follow-up on that, because I know last time we talked about the entrance to the garage that's being built with the building is not going to be an impact to Michigan Avenue. We discussed that. The one thing we didn't ask in terms of the garage is I'm assuming that the garage, like the one that's below the law school or by the law school, is going to only be for Catholic University staff and students. And is it going to be for visitors as well, or only for those with a permit?
It's reserved parking, is my understanding, but it's a much smaller capability than the law school garage is.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on the remarks that Ms. O'Connor made regarding the intersection there at Monroe Avenue. That's one of the intersections in our commission area that I frequent almost every day. So I do notice the changes, the improvements, and the things that are made there at that intersection to try to maintain traffic flow. And so I do appreciate that. Commissioners, any further questions?
I'd like to say thank you for sending the package. I was able to go through it, read it, get a better understanding, compare it to the original submission. I don't have any concerns or any issues with the new construction. I do want to go back to the parking issue. I don't think there's really a parking issue in the community as it relates to the day-to-day. I think the parking issue comes when there's activities, and that's when we get the influx of people parking in our communities, is during that period of time. But otherwise, my sentiment is the same as Commissioner Edwards. I mean, I frequent Monroe Street. I don't have any problems with parking over there. I come down John McCormick Drive. There's no problem. There's always parking down there. So like I said, it's just doing events that I have a concern with.
Yes, we really encourage our students. It's a pedestrian campus, and we encourage our students to not bring vehicles to campus and have reduced parking available for that. So we share your concern with that. Aside from the aesthetic, it's the DC government's initiative that we also support and have been really successful at accomplishing reduced cars on campus.
And I just wanted to say it referenced the community liaison committee that that you all have established, and we really appreciated all of those meetings that we were having prior to the pandemic and everything. And so we look forward to you sort of getting that going again whenever we can, so that these issues on parking or whatever we might have, they can be addressed, and like you all always do, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. We're looking forward to that as well.
Commissioners, you have before you the proposal submitted by Catholic University. They are seeking our approval of this modification to support for their modification to this program. I've sort of laid out the main content of this as it relates to our position. We've discussed very thoroughly concerns that the commission have about parking and other things, and hopefully had a discussion regarding making sure that we maintain that ongoing relationship through the community liaison board and all. If there is no further unreadiness on this, since this area abuts my neighborhood, I'll push this motion forward and ask for a second with regard to support for this proposal from Catholic University.
Commissioner Edwards, I will second the proposal.
It's been properly moved and seconded that ANC 5A support the recommendations here for our support for Catholic University's proposed modifications to this campus plan. Any unreadiness? All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any oppositions? Any abstentions? Madam Secretary, let the record reflect that the vote on that was unanimous. Ms. O'Connor, we will get the final letter and resolution to you in due time to make sure that it is submitted to BZA.
Thank you. We appreciate that, and we'll keep you posted.
All right, thank you.
Evening.
Okay, so now we are moving down to item C. We have a Mr. Lester Wallace to talk about the bike share. He was supposed to come to our meeting last month, I believe, but was not able to get here, and so we have him today. Commissioner Lucio, we want to maintain 15 minutes on this segment.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Wallace is on, so I will just turn it over to him.
All right, thank you all so much, and sincere apologies for not being able to make the meeting last month, but definitely happy to be here to share information about our Capital Bike Share for All program. If possible, am I able to share my screen to show a few items?
Yep, I can do that for you.
All right, great.
Go ahead.
All right, thanks so much. Let's see here, get this going. So
Mr.
basically,
Wallace, real quick, Mr. Wallace, this is not in the documents you had sent me.
oh, sorry.
So can you make sure, that's okay. Could you just make sure to send me this when you're done?
Yes, I can. Yes,
Thank
definitely.
you.
Definitely. So yeah, just wanted to provide some information about our Capital Bike Share for All program. As some of you all may or may not know, Capital Bike Share offers affordable and accessible transportation options for everyone in the greater DC area, regardless of income. And we have the Capital Bike Share for All program to ensure that we're covering everyone regardless of income. And this particular program allows for those who qualify for certain state or federal assistance programs to sign up to receive a discounted annual membership for Capital Bike Share. So I'll do a few kind of comparisons just so you're aware of the differences with this program as opposed to getting a regular annual membership. So our normal annual membership rate for Capital Bike Share is $85 for the year, and that covers a full year of unlimited 30-minute trips using Capital Bike Share bikes. So what that means in terms of 30-minute trips is that simply when you check out a Capital Bike Share bike at one of the docking stations that you see all over DC, Maryland, Virginia, with the red bikes, Capital Bike Share bikes, whenever you check out one of those bikes, you essentially or normally have up to 30 minutes to ride it and dock it or redock it at one of the another docking station. And again, this can be anywhere in DC, Maryland, Virginia. They're all connected, so you can kind of cross into PG County or into Arlington or Alexandria, and the bikes are all still connected. But with each trip, again, you have up to 30 minutes before you need to dock it. And if you have an annual membership, you can take as many of those 30-minute trips every day for a full year. So that means you can have a bike checked out for, let's say, 25 minutes and redock it. And then as soon as it locks up, you can use your bike key or what have you, your smartphone, if you have an annual membership, and you can check the same bike back out and have a fresh 30 minutes to ride and do the same thing over and over as many times as you want. So for the Capital Bike Share for All memberships, just so you understand some of the differences, the annual membership fee instead of $85 is only $5. So again, this is just a one-time $5 payment that covers a full annual membership, and it's unlimited trips. And with the Capital Bike Share for All memberships, members actually get 60 minutes per trip. So we actually increased the trip time to further kind of encourage some of our more underrepresented residents to try this and to use this as a means to getting around the area. Also, the Capital Bike Share system works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And given that Capital Bike Share is owned and operated by the Departments of Transportation in all of the jurisdictions that it operates in, it is actually considered public transportation. So we work with the same people that operate the circulator buses, that operate the streetcar on 8th Street. But this is the only form of public transportation that the city offers that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And also another kind of great perk with this program, we about a year ago, Capital Bike Share introduced a fleet of e-bikes or electric bikes. And those are Black Capital Bike Share bikes. And what those do is basically when you get on them and start pedaling, a motor kind of kicks in and starts pushing you off. And it's basically an easier, quicker way of getting around without pretty much breaking a sweat. Typically, to use one of these bikes, there's an upcharge for it, but the great thing, another perk with this Capital Bike Share for All program is that there are no additional fees incurred for using the e-bikes for Capital Bike Share for All memberships. So just to again show you kind of a quick list here of some of the assistance programs. If any residents are signed up or receiving assistance through any of these programs, such as SNAP, WIC, TANF, Medicaid, and they're 18 years or older, they are automatically eligible to register for one of these discounted memberships.
So
and
I'm sorry, Mr. Wallace, real quick. I just, in the interest of time,
Yes.
you had asked to come to talk about the bike share station that's going to be located in my SMD. Can we get to that part of the presentation?
Yes, sorry, my apologies. And yeah, my apologies. I thought I was actually here just to talk about that particular program.
No, I wasn't even, sorry, I wasn't even familiar with that program. You had asked to come to, because you were putting one in our SMD, and I wanted just to be able to communicate with the community where it was going and the time frame of that and why it was being placed there. That's what you and I had discussed.
Okay, my apologies for that. Let me make sure I have that particular location here. So I'm aware to make sure that we and can you remind, I apologize, can remind me the location of that particular
Yes, it was
station?
Decatur in South Dakota.
Yes, Decatur, South Dakota. So my apologies for the station implementation. I would actually best to have my colleague Greg McLesky from DDOT, who kind of works on those the station installations. We do work with them in terms of the installation process to make sure that once the stations are coming, that we do our part to make sure that we promote the station to residents in terms of flyering and things of that nature. So if I can, I'd like to request my apologies. I thought I was here to speak about that program. I can schedule to have Mr. Matlesky come and speak to talk about that particular station.
And in his defense, I would like to say, I think that there probably was 2 levels of communications going on. He was talking to me probably about coming generally to make a presentation. And then it seems like you were talking to either him or somebody else about something specific within your area. So I think we had agreed that the presentation that you're giving, you and I had sort of talked about, and it's what I was expecting. And so you can go ahead and proceed. We do need to wrap up though, and if you can help to make sure that Commissioner Lucio's issue is addressed, and if necessary, we can come back, Commissioner Lucio, for a follow-up on it if we need to. But proceed.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
if we could do a follow-up, because that's, yes, because I had requested that he come to talk about that.
Yes,
Okay,
I get it.
My apologies. Yeah, I can definitely get Mr. Metlesky, and we can address that particular
How long
station.
is the presentation?
How long? Yeah, how much longer is it?
How much
I
longer
only
is this?
I actually only had like 2 more slides, so I could be done in like less than 60 seconds.
Okay.
If anything, I just mainly would like to make sure I provide information on where people can go to register for these discounted memberships and get more information. So I can actually share that in the chat section as well. But yeah, in general with this program, again, for the most part, any residents that receive assistance through some of those programs like SNAP, WIC, and TANF, and Medicaid are eligible to register for a $5 annual membership. And there are a few things that they will, each resident will need in order to register for one of those. That includes a valid phone number that can receive voicemail or text messages, a valid email address to receive program information. And in terms of payment, they would need either a debit card, a credit card, or a prepaid card. In the event someone is unbanked, we can try to work with them to figure out other options in terms of payment options. We actually are working with the Bank on DC program to direct people to them if they are unbanked and don't have a bank account. Also, there are some cash payment locations more so around Virginia. And then we do have some of our what we call community partner organizations in DC that we work with that do allow for some of their customers or clients to pay in cash for these discounted memberships. But then lastly, proof of qualification. So in terms of whichever program that resident is in terms of assistance program, providing a proof of qualification for that during the registration process. But these are pretty much, what each person would need. We do have, again, ways to provide assistance in the event someone is lacking in one of these things. But that's pretty much it. And I just want to leave off with my contact information, and then also the number for customer service, Capital Bike Share, in the event someone needs additional technical assistance with their memberships.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wallace. And just to make sure we close this out, want to make sure that there is follow-up with Commissioner Lucio and the issue that she had and thought was going to be addressed here tonight. So if you could help us with that, we would certainly appreciate it.
We'll do it. My sincere apologies for the mix-up, and I'll definitely make sure we follow up and get that addressed.
All right, I want to thank you for being here, but I have to bring this portion of the meeting to an end. We have one final presentation that we need to get to. Thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you all so much. Thanks for your time.
All right. The next item on the agenda is opportunity here for everybody to hear about how we as residents and so forth can be supportive and support our neighborhoods and serve DC. So I now turn the floor over to Matthew Coe so he can talk a little bit about that. Matthew?
Chairman Fletcher, I don't see him on the participant list.
He's not here?
I do not see him.
All right, we can open the floor up then. If there are any questions from the community, we can open the floor up for a few minutes. And if we don't hear from him, we can start to wind and get out of here on time. You see any hands out there?
I do not at the time.
All right, well, we won't beg for any. It sounds like it was a good meeting, very
There's
informative.
a question in the chat.
What is the question?
Has the ANC completed the annual report?
Yes, commissioners, I did, and I did not let the commissioners know. We circulated it at the last meeting one last time for commissioners. We did not get any comment, so we can consider that last document circulated pretty much the document that is final. I will give it to the secretary for posting on the website. And it is a document that had been shared with ANC office and otherwise. Yes.
Chairman Edwards, it won't be posted on the website because the website's coming down because of the website discussion, as I mentioned. So, but please send it to me so I can keep it. So when we do come back up, I can add it.
Okay. All right. Seeing no further business.
Mr. Wheatley has a question.
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that I've been in my house now for 30 years, and I just lost my next door neighbor, Beulah Sutherland, who was the treasurer for the Michigan Park Citizens Association. She was a Girl Scout leader. When I first moved here, she literally would have an 18-wheeler tractor trailer deliver Girl Scout cookies. And if she was a drug dealer, that's heavy weight, but at any rate. So she was a very engaged citizen here, and she has fortunately one of her sons who lives in Florida came up and got a chance to see his mother before she died. But this happened this past Sunday, the first full day of spring. So I don't know. I can send some information. I think she was a member of St. Anthony's Church here, and so I just want to sort of make a public shout out. They lived in this house for about 50 years. I've only been here 30 years. So, and then for that matter, that's the second, Miss Beulah Sutherland And then Joan White, another neighbor of mine, she died earlier this year. So, you know, and she was in her mid to late 80s as well. So Ms. Sutherland was 86, and Joan White, who was a public school teacher here in DC, she also passed. So I'm looking at, you know, some of these tall trees in the forest, you know, coming down, and I just wanted to acknowledge them. So.
And I want to thank you for that, Mr. Wheatley. And on that same note, I do want to just sort of let everybody know that former Chair and Commissioner Mr. Bowser, Joe Bowser, he was in the hospital, and I just found out right around the same time, you know, that he was burying his daughter. To keep that family in prayer as well. We want to lift up all of our neighbors in prayer and offer whatever kind of support that we can during this time of you know, just so much bad things that are happening. I think that in the light of it all, God is good, and we are continuing to move on. Is there anything else, Commissioner Fletcher? Were you about to say something?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just briefly, but first, you know, definitely thank you, Mr. Wheatley, for making us aware of, you know, those community members and their passing. I know that's never an easy thing, so I appreciate you. And Mr. Chair, yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Bowser, definitely got to continue to keep them in our prayers, because they're my neighbors, and you know, I see things, and I'm just you never know, and it's just, you know, you just want to pray and make sure that they're strong. Mrs. Bowser is extremely strong. She's still, you know, going grocery shopping, taking care of Mr. Bowser. So, you know, I just want to thank you for that, Mr. Chair, because you're right. We got to keep the first family in our prayers. The last thing I was just going to say is just to let two quick things, let the community know that on Tuesday, April 27, ANC 508 will have we'll have my first single member district meeting for 2021. And so, you know, please be on the lookout for information about that. But that's going to be Tuesday, April 27th, and that will be at 7 p.m. And then lastly, I said this earlier, but Social Justice, Rocket Ship Charter School has opened up their doors and for in-person learning for about 40 to 50 students. So there's going to be some traffic that will be incurring due to students going in person. So I am in touch with the Rocket Ship community leaders. They will be coming before us and sometime in the near future just to give an update. I just wanted the community to know that things are slowly opening up, and Rocket Ship Charter School is one of the first in our community. That's all for me, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Holloway, how are you? You can't hear us. Can't hear you. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Me?
There you
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I hear you fine. I've taken notes. Sorry for my late arrival, but I think my text finally got me straight now. So I think I'm everywhere now.
I was going to ask you about the charter school in your neighborhood. Has it opened up yet?
Well, I'm still speaking with them as we did the one at the top of the hill here on Taylor.
Right.
That we've established, but I should know more on that well before our next meeting, but I should know well more on it within the next week or so. But I'll make sure I send everything out to everybody so that we can be ahead of what they're asking for and what they look for. I've heard different things, a lot on the plate, but we are gonna make sure it goes down the correct way. And just to mention about the traffic down at on the other side where the Exxon is, where Turkey Thicket is, coming over that hill where the project they were talking about doing, they should be making some other provisions from what I understand to even give another space for parking. Now, that was something that was given to me through the grapevine, but until I have a sure, that's why I was kind of intrigued when I heard that particular thing. But you know, everything is good up here, and we got a lot of issues with the dealing with urban forestry and DDS. I can go down the line, but everybody will be touched on my list, and I will share it with my commission.
I'm just concerned because we have so many chartered schools within 5A. In a
Well, you know,
close proximity, you know, that's, and you know, traffic on your end, traffic on my end, which is the Riggs Road, yours is the Taylor Street. Commissioner Fletcher's is South Dakota, Riggs. It's just that we're kind of boxed in.
Well, and don't forget that mine's smack dab in the middle on a
You're
dead
right in
end
the middle.
street.
Yeah, we got a
Yeah.
lot of traffic.
But you know, and also, you know, at one time, Commissioner Washington, you remember when we had where the trucks, we used McCormick for those trucks to go through and not go through our streets. And I'm really gonna put something else on the table for the commission to look at
We do need to
in
look at
reference
that.
to those vehicles. See, we did that a long time ago and it had a big difference.
Yeah.
But the traffic issue is just off the chain. I was listening to I think Commissioner Lockett and you talk about the Chick-fil-A. South Dakota is an absolute nightmare right now. And just like he talked about, I don't even go around that way during 4 or whatever time it is.
2 to 4.
Yeah, that particular time between 4 and 5, if you go around there, oh, you can look for it. And we've been having a lot of issues talking about the crime at the where the old KFC and the Walmart, that whole, I have a good friend of mine who's the president of the Civic Association around there, or president of the co-op, and they just have a big time crime spree. And I think the more people that, you know, we're putting in a lot of places that I've seen in that particular area, you know, you have a lot of people come from all over, and we just don't know who our neighbors are right now. And that's an issue. So
Yeah.
I rest on that one.
Okay. All right, Chairman Edwards.
Yes. All right. It's been a very good meeting. It looks like all have been discussed. All issues have been discussed. There's no further business. This meeting is adjourned.
You got, well, okay.
What?
Thank
What were you
you.
going to say?
I think Mr. Lockett had his finger up.
Oh,
Yes. One
Mr.
thing,
Lockett?
one thing.
Mr. Lockett.
For all of you who not got your shot, please take your shot and be safe and keep the people around you safe. All right?
All
Thank
right.
you.
That's a
All
good
right.
note to close on.
I got mine.
I got mine.
Oh,
All
May
right.
the 29th, May the 29th is support your Vietnam veteran.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Roger
All right.
that.
All right.
Deborah, how you doing? I haven't seen you and heard from you in a long time. I see you still hanging around. How you doing, Deborah?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
All right, good, good.
Hey, Deborah.
Okay, all
Hi,
right.
Sandy.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right, that's it. Any other business?
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Be
Thank
safe.
you.
Peace.
No further
Peace.
business. This meeting is adjourned.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yes.